The difference between a professional and amateur is the professional shows up even when they don't feel like showing up. Seth Godin describes this in his book, The Dip, where there's this valley where the amount of effort and the results that you're getting are upside down, where you're putting a lot of effort and not getting a lot of results. So most people just quit. They quit before it gets good. You have consistently gone through the dip, emerged on the other side, so you have all the positive reinforcements and affirmations that you're able to get. What can you tell someone who's stuck in that dip, who quits and changes their mind again?
I don't necessarily have advice, but I'll tell you this. When I committed to doing social media full time, I wasn't making any money at it, and I wanted it. And there's two things I keep taped to my monitor. One of them is someone else wants it more. And it's this constant reminder to me. It's like, if I don't want it, there's somebody else who's going to go out and take it, whatever it is. And for me, it is success on social media, freedom, monetary gains down the road. But without that grit, for me, frankly, it's grit. Like, you have to put your head down, whether you like it or not. And the other thing is, are you capable? And when I feel like not doing something, I look at that and it's like, I am capable of doing this today. And it's not a matter of like, do I feel like doing it? It's like, can I do it? And if the answer is yes, and if there's enough hours left in the day, I sit my butt down and keep working.
So take me through your creative process. How does an idea begin? And take me through the major steps that you go through.
I'd say first up is like getting the right idea. That's like one of the main questions that I get quite frequently. It's like, how do you come up with your ideas? And my answer is like, honestly, I don't really know where they always come from. And sometimes there's direct inspiration from other creators, right? So I follow a plethora of people who inspire me. And when I was doing the Minecraft stuff, a lot of that is like following trends and saying, okay, what are the other Minecrafters doing right now? And so I'd say typically it comes from a shower thought or sort of like my own experience in game. These are all mostly video game related content, but there is really no straight answer. I'd say on average, it takes me an hour to 2 hours a day of like just sitting down and kind of like closing my eyes or having a cup of coffee and like only thinking about what am I going to make today? And so it's kind of weird when I'm just like sitting there with my eyes closed and I'm like, Mom, don't talk to me. I'm trying to think of an idea. Yeah, above and beyond everything else, it's like once you have the right idea, everything else kind of like is a mechanical process.
If you were to talk to someone who wants to be where you're at today, what kind of advice would you give to him?
Number one, find self-directed projects. Like before I had any freelance clients, I made a commercial for Rolex. Like if Rolex hired me, like this is what I would animate for them. I made another one for Nike, right? So I made a couple different things on my own, right? And that's where the second part comes in, is like being a perfectionist is going to be your downfall if you're trying to turn your passion or whatever it is into a social media thing or a full-time freelance thing. Because you can't make good artwork or you can't make a good social media video until you've made a lot of bad social media videos. Because through the process of making a lot of bad content, or not necessarily even bad, just stuff even at the time you can be proud of it, but through the process of making a lot, you're going to learn about how to make, or what is good, or what are the redeeming qualities of the bad videos that you've made along the way. And so yeah, it's like, I don't necessarily have advice for how do you find your groove, but if there's something that interests you, certainly follow that path and don't be afraid to put things out into the world that you may look back on even 6 months from now and say, oh, it's kind of like a cringy video, or maybe I should take that down. And you realize like, it doesn't matter if I think it's good throughout the process. It more than anything, it matters that it's posted and it's up. And so although all my stuff looks pretty polished, it still is that same mindset, this scrappy mentality of like, I'm going to get it out the door, whether or not it's something that I'm super passionate about in the moment.
So do you have days when you're like, you know what, I'm just not super amped up today? And if you do, what do you tell yourself? How do you feel? How do you process that?
I have those days quite frequently. I do the work anyway. But for me, it's like, I'd rather have a video concept that I'm not necessarily passionate about, or a video that I'm not necessarily proud of. I'd rather have it posted and up out the door than to spend an extra day wallowing in like, I don't feel like animating today. I don't know if it's necessarily healthy all the time, but I do the work regardless of whether I want to or not. And there are plenty of days where I don't want to do the work. But I think that I know how much of a blessing my career is, and I overall really enjoy a lot of things about what I do that make it worthwhile.
You're 24 years old, having all kinds of success with content creation and a massive following. A lot of people can slog at this for a decade and not get to that number. And so they're going to say, well, you're an anomaly, you're lucky and all that kind of stuff, and they're a little bit older. How can we help people who may feel like maybe that moment has passed them up?
I'll say this, that on YouTube specifically, some of the biggest creators in the short form game have not entered the space. Charlie D'Amelio, Little Huddy, the whole Hype House crew, among a plethora of other, have not posted a single short. These are people who have upwards of 50, 100 million subscribers or followers on TikTok, right? Who are killing the short form game, who have not even posted a single YouTube short, right? And so the space is actually really, really new still. It's growing up, but the opportunity certainly has not passed. And I have no plans of doing anything different on YouTube YouTube this following year. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity for people to jump in this space now and have the same exact story that I had starting it tomorrow throughout the next 15 months. I really do believe that. It's not a mature format yet on YouTube specifically. And if you're making it for YouTube, might as well post it on TikTok. And I really do believe that the opportunity is all still right at the front door.
Yeah, a lot of times what we don't recognize is opportunity when it's knocking at the door. We don't open that door. And you're saying and I also believe this, that it's not oversaturated yet. There's some shocking statistics about how many videos are uploaded to YouTube on a daily basis. It's astronomical in terms of minutes and hours of content created, but a very small percentage is actually short content.